Welcome to the Industrial Talk Podcast with Scott McKenzie. Scott is a passionate industry professional dedicated to transferring cutting-edge, industry-focused innovations and trends while highlighting the men and women who keep the world moving. So put on your hard hat, grab your work boots, and let's go.
All right, welcome back to Industrial Talk, a platform that is dedicated to industrial professionals all around the world, like the one that's sitting right next to me, because he is bold, yes, brave, yes, he dares greatly, he collaborates, he solves problems, he is a superhero in my mind. How about that?
Thank you, Scott.
There's no way.
That's great.
Yeah,
That's great.
I'm still ready to go. And we're broadcasting here in Austin, Texas. OMG's the organization. And again, they get people like Bassam here who really know what goes on. And they are truly passionate about solving many of the challenges businesses have today. Putting it on paper, making us just succeed. You're a hero. Bassam right there. Let's get cracking.
Thank you.
Yeah, look at you.
This is good.
This is good. Yeah, you're my digital friend that I've never seen in person, and now all of a sudden, look at you, man. You're right here in person, and I get to meet you.
Yeah.
All the way down from the Great Northwest.
Yes.
Yeah, it's good. You having a good conference?
Yeah. It's good. I mean, it's good to come to these events and see what's the state of the art in terms of.
It's not a conference. It's meetings. You guys meet.
Yeah. Meet, discuss, brainstorm, fight,
debate. God, I don't know how you guys. Do you go home just all worn out?
Yeah.
Exhausted.
But by the end of the third day or fourth day, you just won.
I
want out.
You're right. I don't even want to debate that point anymore. You're right. No, so for the listeners out there, Bassam, give us a little background on who you are.
Yes, so my name is Bassam Zarkout. I'm the founder of a consulting practice called IGnPower, focusing on digital transformation in IoT industry, digital twins, etc. I'm based in Ottawa, Canada, but I cover the North America as well as Europe as well.
You cover more than that. You're Bassam. You're everywhere, man. You're like the dude, the oracle in digital transformation. You think through this stuff.
Yeah.
He's downplaying it, folks. Just FYI. He knows more. So you come here, and you recognize that there's the buzzword. It's digital transformation. Mm-hmm. Everybody's saying it. Mm-hmm. But you actually go through the process and you understand what that means.
Yeah. Well, digital transformation is not new. Obviously, we've been doing digital transformation for several decades. What is new is that we're doing this now around machines and physical assets. So we're transforming the physical world around us, and we're tying it to the digital world, and we're optimizing it, and we're producing better things, and we are changing the value that we deliver to the marketplace through these machines.
Are we really doing that? Let's say industry as a whole. Are we succeeding at that? Do you see a trend that is taking place and saying, yep, we're getting it right now? Because there was a lot of people that weren't.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, this is a slow process, but you can see it around you. Rolls-Royce is selling propulsion as a service, and the foundation of that is digital transformation, whereby the airline doesn't buy the jet engine, they buy propulsion as a service. When they use the engine, they pay for the usage of the engine. And Rolls-Royce is responsible entirely for the maintenance, upkeep, and KPIs of the engine and so on. General Electric is doing the same. So you can see these things happening around you slowly, gradually, but surely as well.
Yeah, and that case in point. I mean, Rolls-Royce is pulling in data. They're managing that asset in a big way.
Yes,
and we're very grateful for that.
Yes, and I was told that they are very frustrated because they'd like, and they can do a lot more, but they are limited by the number of sensors they can put inside the engine because of the hot conditions inside that engine. The materials to produce the sensors do not exist yet because it's so hot inside the engine. It's amazing.
I'm speechless now.
It's amazing. Somebody explained it to me, and it's fascinating. They would love to put 10 times more sensors in the engine and produce so much better results, but they can't simply because the material does not exist to produce these sensors.
All right, there's a business opportunity for anybody out there, right there. Work with Rolls-Royce, develop these sensors, and I guarantee you I'll be asking for a loan.
Yeah.
All right, Bassam, you're here. You're having these conversations, you're debating these conversations around digital transformation. What are the challenges there?
Well, the challenges is that because you are transforming environments that cross the physical to digital divide, you're now doing transformation. Imagine you're changing the jet engine while the plane is flying. So while the plane is flying, you're changing the jet engine, and that introduces all kinds of challenges. You can't stop operation. You can't stop complying with your obligations towards regulations and so on and so forth. So you need to keep on taking care of all these things while you're making these changes, and that is not simple.
Okay, I'm going to have to wrap my head around that one.
Yeah.
So you're saying, okay, so here's a plane, and we'll just keep on riding.
No, I'm using that as an example. Nobody is going to change a jet engine during flight.
No, but I want to get the analogy there because I think that you're onto something here, that it creates a truly valuable word picture.
Mm-hmm.
That, okay, you have this asset, it's critical.
You can't stop it.
You can't stop it,
Yeah.
Thank goodness. And you're pulling in information and data off of that engine real time,
Mm-hmm.
and eventually you're gonna get information saying, let's do some maintenance.
Yeah. So obviously this is an analogy. We're not going to do that to a jet engine.
Yeah.
But organizations are facing this, and there is another problem being created, is that the volume of IoT data is going to be exploding. It's already exploding through the roof. And people keep telling us that data is the new oil. Data is the new oil. Well, that means data has value. What is the value of this IoT data? How do I preserve that value? How do I make sure I'm capturing the tangible and intangible value of that data? And so on and so forth. So that's another challenge that organizations are facing as well.
It's a tsunami.
It is.
And maybe it was you. I don't know. It could have been you. But the amount of data that is just pulled off of a plane on a flight is massive. Just on a flight.
Yes. I saw a figure last week. An organization called Statista. They estimate that the volume of IoT data in 2025 will be 79 zettabytes. And a zettabyte is 1 million petabytes.
Jeez.
So massive amounts of data. Some of it you will not need to store it and maintain it, but some of it you may need to keep it for a long time and manage it and manage its life cycle, because it may be required for compliance, it may be required because it has value. A future AI may be so much more powerful, you can extract the value from it and sell it.
See, but you're bringing up a good point. So we're still sort of at the beginning of this whole wonderful digital revolution, as we continue on this journey, this train to success. And everybody's saying, yeah, there's gold in that data. And so people are going to just continue to try to get more and more data.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what is it? I mean, is everybody going to be a server farm? Is this, everything, where do we store it?
The problem
is physical.
The problem isn't only storing it. The problem is maintaining the context. For example, you have a pressure vessel and there's a sensor that tells you the temperature is 100. Do you want to store 100, or do you want to store it's 100 degrees from that sensor, from that vessel at this time? So you need to store all kinds of information. And in case of accidents, the authorities will want to investigate. Did you do what you are supposed to do? How do you prove that you did what you are supposed to do? So this information there has to be a strategy about IoT data, what you do with it. And this is not about the engineering team or the operational team. Legal may be involved, compliance may be involved, risk management may be involved. All of these people may need to be involved and make some risk-based decisions, because you can never be perfect. And being perfect is extremely expensive.
So you get this data. It's just going to continue to grow. If I'm an organization that is committed to transforming, digitalizing my business, right? Mm-hmm. I'm going to want more. Just going to want more. And there's going to be a conversation around all that type of data. Like, we don't need that data, so let's get rid of that one. But we need this data. And how do humans can't make that? You can create parameters, whatever that looks like, but I'm not sitting there going, good data.
I mean, that question you asked is a conversation that can take several hours. But people have been dealing with that on the business side. So for the longest time, people have been dealing in corporations, in large corporations, have had specialized teams that look at the types of data they have, and they create policies about what you do with that data, right? Because they have teams who have analyzed the regulations and they have analyzed the laws, and they've determined that in order to comply with the law, or in order to minimize the risk of non-compliance, I'm speaking like a lawyer now, you need to apply these policies. And they don't leave it up to the person in the field to make the final decision about what to do. That person in the field doesn't necessarily understand all the requirements. So all they have to do is comply with the law. So the same approach has to be taken for IoT data, because that information is at least as valuable as your business data produced by your back office systems, and that can be crucial in compliance situations, in legal situations. Let me give you an example. You have to comply with data privacy, right? And you are required to delete certain data when you are no longer in need to keep them for data privacy purposes. Well, do you know where all the copies of these data are in your system?
No, you do not.
So how do you prove that you've deleted this data?
You tell me.
Yeah.
Because you're supposed to.
I have heard of legal cases where you have large law firms have technology practices nowadays, and they have CTOs and technologists who are also lawyers. My brother-in-law is a lawyer. I can tell lawyer jokes. So lawyers who are technologists are the worst. They are not easy to deal with, but they fulfill a very important function. And these people, sooner or later, are going to be involved in major compliance and legal cases where IoT systems fail and somebody, God forbid, got hurt. And you need to be able to prove that you've done what you were supposed to do within reasonable efforts when you had to do it.
God, you know, Bassam, it's like, hey, I'm a manufacturer. Hey, I got my manufacturing hat on, and I'm manufacturing these widgets, and you're coming to me and you're saying, hey, Scott, you need to digitalize this more, and whatever. It's like that would be great. Pull the data off of there. Let's analyze it, and you're going to make some great decisions, and you're going to, But I'm opening myself up for greater visibility and risk. And I better know what I'm doing, which then I've got another headache to deal with outside of manufacturing or finding my supply or whatever my feedstock.
Yes. I was speaking with a gentleman yesterday that now in Europe there will be a new law. Well, it's a law that exists, but it will be strengthened, whereby if you have a supply chain upstream and downstream, you are responsible for the behavior of your partners in that supply chain vis-a-vis the data. Yes.
I'm never doing business again. I'm just going to stay one guy that does nothing.
Banks have had to do that for the longest time. If you go to the bank for the first time and you want to open a new account, they will pull out a form and they ask you a lot of questions about you. Basically, they don't want you to be laundering money through their banking institutions. This is called KYC, know your customer. So something similar is going to happen in supply chains. In other words, if you operate a supply chain, you cannot accept anybody to become part of that ecosystem, because you are responsible to make sure that they are compliant with their obligations. And
the cost of doing business all of a sudden with this conversation is going through the roof.
Well, maybe initially, but eventually, like everything, it settles down. It becomes part of doing business. It's part of the evolution because
me,
it was
Bassam.
like that 20 years ago in banks.
Yeah, I hear you going. So what do we do? I mean, all of a sudden you've stated a fact, and it is a fact. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I know that data will continue to grow, and you got to do something with it, and you got to manage it, and you got to know where it's at, and when to archive it, whatever. You got things around that data. Mm-hmm. How? We're still at the beginning of this.
Yeah, and the approach is to have a strategy about IoT data. And I'm not talking about the technical aspect, interoperability, and all of that stuff is a given at this stage.
Yeah.
You need to have a strategy about your IoT data in terms of what's the value, what do I need to keep, what do I get rid of, where are all the copies, how long do I keep them, and so on and so forth, because like I was giving you yesterday the example of I have a Fitbit and it's been collecting data for the past 5 years about my running, my walking, etc. And I look at my phone, I see all this historical data, and it's fine, it's nice to look at, but it's technically useless at this stage. But I do not know, maybe a future AI will look at this data and give me some insight about my health. I don't know. So in the future, you may get more advanced analytics that if you point it to historical IoT data, it may give you new insight that you could not get before. So all of these, you have to take them into consideration.
So the moral of this conversation or this story is one, your organization, you need to go down that, you need to be in the digital game. You just are.
Yeah.
If you want to be competitive, if you
Yes.
want to have value coming out of that business
Yes.
even greater, whatever it is, whatever
Yes.
that, you need to be in the game.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
one. Okay. Two, I know that I need to trust somebody. I need to figure out how to take and I need a Sherpa to help me along with that. Mm-hmm. Because I hear you, I see it, but I need a Sherpa to help me along with it. Mm-hmm. And therefore, organizations, I need to collaborate with trusted Sherpas, right? Mm-hmm. Not just any Sherpa, a trusted Sherpa, and to be able to take me on that journey to make sure that I do it right. And then, of course, I need organizations like OMG and IIC and all of these organizations that are built on smart people gathering together and collaborating and debating these very difficult, that's how I look at it.
And in a sense, like a small commercial, I mean, this is what we do at IGnPower, which is promote ourselves as these Sherpas for organizations to help them devise these data strategies for corporations. And again, the problem gets more complex when you're doing digital transformation because you're making changes and retrofitting and making changes to the process, making changes to your organization, and you want to make sure that things do not fall apart as you're doing that.
Yeah, I have, this is it. I need to find somebody I trust, and I need to know where to start. I don't even know where to start because I'm too busy doing all of this stuff over here with my business that's been in business for 20 years or whatever, and I do it this way.
Yes.
And I'm dealing with my supply chain issues or whatever it might be. It's vital.
Yes, the silver lining in all of this is that
I'm curled up right now.
Is that the regulating bodies, and again, this is not legal advice, but the regulating bodies and the legal bodies and so on do not want to run organizations out of business, right? They want to make sure that people are doing the reasonable thing, and that what is reasonable will keep on evolving. So what was very difficult to do a year ago will become very easy to do next year because of new technologies, new solutions, new thinking, and so on and so forth.
We haven't even touched upon that, where there's a velocity and things change.
Yes.
Tomorrow it's going to change.
Yes, but they want to see that you've analyzed what your requirements are, that you've attempted to write a policy, that you've published the policy and had it approved at the highest level, board of directors sometimes, that you've informed your stakeholders about the policy, and that you have consistently enforced these policies.
I'm glad you're in it. That's just me.
Yeah, and again, we've been doing this on the business side for business information, this has been the norm for the past 15 years.
Yeah, but take it. I mean, I am. I'm so glad that people are like you are helping sort of blaze that trail. I really am, man. How do people get a hold of you there, Bassam?
Well, IGnPower.com website, and there's a lot of information on that website, and just send us an email and we'll get back to you.
Easy peasy. You're out there on LinkedIn too, right?
I am on LinkedIn as well.
Okay, we're going to have his stat card out there too. LinkedIn stat card on Industrial Talk. So you got to reach out to Bassam. You will not, as you can tell, he knows what he's talking about. He is the right Sherpa to connect with. You can use that, by the way. You can throw that on your website.
Sherpa, yeah, that's good. That's good.
He's a data Sherpa. All right, listeners, we're going to wrap it up on that side. Stay tuned. We will be right back.
Bye-bye, everybody.
You're listening to the Industrial Talk Podcast Network.
Again, thank you very much for joining Industrial Talk, and absolutely thank you for your support. It is a platform that is completely and solely dedicated to you industrial professionals. We are here to collaborate. We are here to innovate. We are here to educate, get engaged. Go out to industrialtalk.com. And absolutely, thank you, Bassam, for saying yes, being on the podcast, and having the opportunity to talk to you at the OMG Quarterly Meeting. It was great. And I want to just reiterate the necessity to get your handle on data. There's gold there. It can be overwhelming, but then there are people like Bassam and others that can help you with that journey in a jet second and be able to navigate and direct your attention to where it needs to happen. That's Bassam. So I'll have all his contact information out there. You know that. Go out to Industrial Talk. You'll find his LinkedIn connection. Reach out and have a conversation, because we are about that education. He can do it well. That collaboration, Bassam is right on the money. And of course, innovation. There are so many options out there for you to consider in the world of data, data analytics, and so on and so forth. Reach out. All right, we're going to be broadcasting, I think, coming up at the IoT Solutions World Congress. And if you're going to be there, that's in Barcelona. We're going to have a spot, broadcast, tell your story, make it happen, Captain. All right, be bold, be brave, dare greatly. As I always say, hang out with people like Bassam, and you're going to change the world, because you do. Industry changes the world. Thank you again for joining, and we're going to have another great conversation shortly coming from that OMG Quarterly Meeting.